Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to our fourth session of professional writing. In this session, we will look at the written communication in the workplace. In the previous sessions, we have looked at communication and the four ways of communication. We said that there are the verbal, the non-verbal, the written, and the visual. In today's session, we will look at the written communication in the workplace. What is it? The written communication in the workplace is a type of writing with the intention of communicating with others in a professional and courteous manner to facilitate work and to make informed decisions later on. Professional writing typically has a formal tone and differs from written text that is considered literary or artistic, or that generally seeks to convey philosophical truth. The general purpose of professional writing is to convey information to readers within a workplace context. We will see that there are other four purposes, specific purposes of professional writing. Depending on those purposes, we divide writing into four main types. Okay, so the different types of professional writing are divided according to the purposes displayed here. Number one purpose is to instruct, from which we have instructional writing. The second purpose is to persuade, from which we have persuasive writing. And the third is to inform, where the informational writing is derived from. And the last one is to transact, which gives us transactional writing. We will look at each of them in detail. Instructional writing. Instructional writing provides the reader with the information needed to complete a specific task. This type of document will generally break down the process which need to be completed into steps that are understandable and easy to see by the reader. The written record must account for the reader's knowledge of the area, educational background, the scope of the task, while integrating any variations or potential problems that may occur. Okay, we have here three examples of instructional writing. The first example is the user manual. Of course, we have all seen the user manual. Anytime you buy a product, you have the user manual with it, which is a guide focused on allowing the customer to use the product. Then we have specifications. The specifications are technical documents which provides an outline of a product or process that allows it to be constructed or reconstructed by an unfamiliar but knowledgeable user. Okay, it enables effective distribution. Number three example of instructional writing is the memo, and a memo is a short for memorandum. It's a short notification of new information shared within a large group of employees in an organization. The memorandum is usually distributed as hard copies because the employer typically want the employees to have the memorandum in front of them to remember an important information. Okay, we will see an example of a memorandum later on. The second type of professional writing is informational writing. Not all businesses requires actions, unlike the previous type, which is instructional writing. Informational writing is basically found to create reference or record of a large volume of informations. Okay, recording business information accurately and consistently is important for marking progress, predicting future work, as well as complying with legal and contractual obligations. Okay, so a large volume of writing is just created for such purposes. Okay, we also have three examples of informational writing. Number one is reports. annual reports, quarterly reports, sales reports, penetration reports, penetration test reports. All the different type of reports are informational writing. Organizational rely on reports to act, to communicate business and technical information, and to capture work completed or to record incidents, to finalize projects and recommendations, also to act as an archive. Okay, the second type of the second example of information writing is financials, financial statements, financial documents that outline the financial statement of the company. Okay, they are usually produced by the end of the financial year. Okay, then we have minutes, meeting minutes. They are a summary of the proceedings of a meeting, a record of discussion, decisions, and assignments for attendees and others. We will also see an example of a meeting minutes. Okay, the third type of professional writing is the persuasive writing. As we can see from the word persuasive, those type of writings or those types of documents are found there to persuade the reader or to sway their decision. Okay, so the goal is twofold: to convey information and to convince the reader that the presented information offers the best value. Okay, the text is written to impress the reader and sway their decision, as I said. Okay, this persuasive writing may be direct or it could be indirect. Direct with the focus on a specific item. Okay, and indirect with the focus on developing the client relationship in the longer run. Two examples of persuasive writing, we have them here, are the proposals and sales emails. Okay, the proposals outline an offer of a product or service. Okay, they could be considered direct persuasive writing. Okay, because they usually focus on specific items. They are found to raise sales or to gain investment for a particular project. Then we have sales email. They are indirect. We usually, if you subscribe for a brand that you like, you will receive lots of their sales email to try to persuade you of buying more from them, for example. Okay, or they found for their purpose of having a good relationship or keeping good relationship with customers in the longer run. The third type of writing, professional writing, are the transactional writing. Sorry for the spelling here. It's transactional writing. Okay, transactional writing are responsible for any type of writing that are made for the operational tasks, day-to-day tasks that are done. Okay, so everyday communication falls under transactional business writing. The majority of this writing is by email, but also includes official letters or forms or invoices. Okay, they are used to progress general operations. They are also used to convey good and bad news. So sometimes they do convey some of the news, okay, on a specific day, often associated with human resource processes. So we have here two examples of transactional writing: emails, as we said, which are documents used to quickly communicate information between staff or clients in business activities. And we have the dismissal notice. This letter provides the official context and procedural details associated with employment termination. Of course, those writing could be hard copy or soft copy. Okay, they are also considered professional writing in the two forms. Okay, there are 10 types of business writing you should master. most importantly. So try to have a look at them, the 10 types of business writing you should master. Okay. So whenever you are writing any type of those 10 documents, you go generally through 3 stages. Okay. Those 3 stages are essential for any type of writing. The first stage is to plan, the second is when you start writing, and the third is to proofread. Okay, whenever you are planning, you use a mind map. Why to use a mind map? Because it's a easy, effective method to outline all the information, the important informations that need to be included in the writing. It will also act as a reminder for the guidelines you should follow when writing. Okay, you said the purpose of the writing. This is very important because depending on the purpose, we will then define the type of the writing we will write. Okay, as we said earlier, we have 4 purposes: to persuade, to inform, to transact, and to inform. Okay, number 3, or the 3-step in planning, is to select your audience. It's very important to accurately select your audience, because the information that will be included in the writing will be tailored depending on the understanding and the backgrounds of the audience. Okay, you carry an initial research. This part of the research will be also done on the audience, and the other part will be done on the subject you are writing about. Okay, sometimes also about an initial research will be needed when or about the organization to which you are providing your writing. The second stage of professional writing is when you actually start writing. When you actually start writing, you first choose a document type. Okay, you choose a document type after you have set the purpose and you set the type of the writing. You can then find a document. There are lots and lots of ready-made documents that you can find on Pinterest or on Google. Okay, or you can make your own. Okay. But generally those documents are there to help you, and there are a very large variety of documents designed in very creative and modern way, so it's very useful to use some of them. In many cases, of course, not in all. Okay, this depends on your subject as well, the subject you are writing about. After you choose a document type, you specify a structure, the structure in which the informations will be projected. Okay, you fill in the gaps if there is any 2 parts where you don't find a transition between the first part and the second part. You have to fill in the gap, because it's very important that the reader sees that your writing is goes in harmony. Okay, there is consistency between the informations written. Okay, so remember, we also follow the 7 C's we talked about earlier in the communication session, because written information or written communication is also a part of communication. Okay, and the last thing you do when in the starting writing stage is you examine readability. You have a quick scan at the writing and you see if it's easy to go through the informations or the material written. The last stage is the proofreading, and you do the readability examination for a more period of time or in more detail in the proofreading stage. Okay, so you edit using checklist. After you finish the writing, you have a checklist. You make a checklist, okay, and you go through the checklist to make sure that everything is there, and you edit using or you edit your text using this checklist. Okay, apply the 24-hour rule, and the 24-hour rule says that you leave the writing or the text for 24 hours and then you come and read it again. This method is very effective because you will be you will see clearly if there is any mistakes that you have made. Okay, especially that when you spend lots of time writing, you will be very tired and your eyes are a bit tired. You need some time to relax. So when you leave it for 24 hours and you come again, you have the patience to go through each detail and to make sure there is nothing wrong. Allowing others to review your writing is very effective method for proofreading, because others have clear or have better ability to clearly see the mistakes that we have done. Okay, always check for grammar and spelling and punctuation after you finish your writing. So those are the three stages of professional writing you follow every single time you are writing, regardless of the document you are preparing. Okay, so you plan, you start writing, and you proofread. Then we have some of the principles you follow when writing. The first principle is audience. Okay, we have three key questions to ask and their consequences in regard of the audience principle. Number one question is, what background knowledge do or should they have on the topic? Okay, so will the audience be knowledgeable of the material I'm delivering to them? Will they not? How to adjust the text in order to be congruent with the background knowledge the audience have. Number two, how familiar are they with the acronyms and the terms I want to use? Okay, of course, you want to make sure that your writing is understandable for the reader. Okay, because we want the message to be delivered effectively. All right, so you check for any acronyms or terms that might be hard for your audience, depending on the initial research you carried on them, and then you might put you eliminate them, or you can put, if you have to put them there, the acronyms and the terms, you put a small little definition of the terms that might be specialized or need special knowledge about them. Okay, the third question is, what is their probable position in response to my message? How they will react to the message or to informations or to the material I'm presenting through the writing. Will they be receptive? Will they be resistant? Will they be surprised? So you put probable scenarios, okay, that might occur, and then you provide the answers for any questions that might arise in the heads of your readers. Okay, so you should prepare yourself through the writing for any probable position the reader might take. The second and the third principle is our organization and conciseness. Okay, by organization we mean how the information are organized in the text. Okay, you clearly map out your main sections, your subsections, and the key points. It should be easy for the reader to see to have a clue about the writing when they scan fastly through it. Okay, having a clear overview of what you want to communicate together with the hierarchy between its component parts. Okay, you always pay attention to things that should come first in the writing and the things that should come later. Okay, so you follow a hierarchy for the components, which of course will make it easier for the reader to comprehend the message you want to deliver. The third principle is conciseness. Okay, we looked at conciseness at one of the C's, and we said that conciseness means delivering the message or the intended message in the least minimum amount of words. Okay, we said that it saves time and it saves efforts. Okay, so conciseness or economy of words is a central feature of professionally effective written English. A longer, more wordy words or constructions is not more formal or more professional at all. Okay, it's unfortunately simply clumsy, okay, and unclear, often unclear. Okay, so try to be concise when writing your professional writing. You also follow a limit content. Okay, you eliminate surplus words that are unneeded in the text. Okay, time goes very fast. We all have work to do. Nobody will have extra time to read the piece of writing you will present or you will give in. Okay, so you should be able to deliver your message in the shortest minimum amount of time. To eliminate content, we have something called the 2 lines rule, and the 2 lines rule says that the 2-line rule says that if you want to deliver a specific piece of fact or information, you maximum need 2 lines. Okay, no more than 2 lines. It could be less, but not more than 2 lines. If it takes too much, more than 2 lines, then there are surplus words that you need to eliminate or you need to take out. Okay, of course, also in the opposite or in the other hand, the facts should not be presented in too little words. Okay, because nobody will be able to understand what the writer means. Okay, avoid overcomplicated phrases. Use one word option where possible. Okay, use verb phrases instead of noun phrases because the verb phrases seems to be clearer and requires less amount of words. Okay, also favor active instead of passive. Okay, you talk with the active voice instead of the passive voice. This also have or it can reflect some traits of your personality through your writing. If you talk in the active instead of the passive voice, that the reader might think that you are a more responsible person with a strong personality. Okay, unlike when you use the passive voice. Okay, sorry. Using linking structures. Linking structures or conjunctions are very important when we want to connect between 2 phrases or 2 sentences that are related to each other or that are responsible for one subject. Okay, so for the using linking structure, we have a grammatical use. Okay, links of identical meaning may be used differently from a grammatical perspective. For example, however requires no reference to the previous sentence grammatically. Okay, so unlike despite. All right, so if we look at the example, the economic situation is challenging for the retail industry. However, sales in some sectors have been higher than expected. Okay, so we don't need reference to the previous sentence the economic situation is challenging for the retail industry. However, or if we look at the other example, despite the economic situation is challenging for the retail industry, despite that, or despite this, sales in some sectors have been higher than expected. So you find yourself automatically going back to the first sentence in order to be able to understand the second sentence in a clearer way. Okay, so always mind the grammatical use of the linking structure, because they will impact how the sentences are understood by the reader. Okay, also mind the tone. Links of identical meaning have differences in tone. For example, nevertheless is more formal than but. Okay, hence is more formal than so. Okay, so this depends on the purpose of your writing as well. طيب, again, write in the first person, because this make it clear for your tone to appear in your writing, and use active versus passive voice, as we said earlier. Okay, writing in the first person is when you use I. Okay, and writing in the second person is when you use you, and writing in the third person when you use they. Okay. Also, you should be mindful to suitability when using linking structures. Each link is simply a tool to achieve clearer and more effective text. As with all tools, each is best used in the most suitable way. Okay, so I assume none of you would use a hammer to open a tin, obviously. Okay, so example, either or versus alternatively. Both are used to present two alternatives. Okay, either or in one sentence and alternatively in two sentences. Okay, so let's look at the example. We can either outsource this or train up some of our existing staff. One sentence, short sentence. Okay, however, if we use alternatively, then the example would be like, we can outsource this, full stop. Alternatively, we can train up some of our existing staff. Okay, so you use each of these linking structure depending on the piece of writing, depending on the type of writing, according to the purpose of the writing. Okay, so you just have to make sure that the structures are suitable for such a writing. Okay, for example, if here you use alternatively, then maybe you would like to extend or to talk more about the option of training some of our existing staff. Okay, so which of these two options is most suitable depends on your writing. Here we will have a look at some of the professional writing examples we talked about earlier. For example, professional email message guidelines here. Okay, it's email writing. Email writing is very frequent, yet lots of people do it wrong. Okay, so as we can look, we start with the subject line. The subject line should be short, should reflect the main subject of the email. Okay, it starts with capital letters. Concisely convey your purpose of writing. Then we have the greeting. Okay, dear Miss, dear Mr., dear Mrs., depend on the status of the person you are writing to. Then we have the length. We said that you should pay attention to the three principles: organization, conciseness are very important. Okay, you should avoid emo icon, sorry. This is not professionally at all. You're not writing to your friend, you're writing to your colleague, to your manager, your co-worker, so it's not personal. Okay, you should mind the font style. Avoid ornate, playful, or colored fonts. And of course, you should always check for your spelling and for your grammar. Edit carefully before sending. Okay? And then at last, you write sincerely or sincerely when you know who you are writing to. Okay, and faithfully when you don't know the person you are writing to. So you are, for example, writing for an organization in a state or the whole department. Here we have a memo plan. Start with a header, subject line, opening paragraph, supporting details or explanation, and then you have the closing. Okay, this is an example memorandum. I'll give you a few seconds to look at. Okay, here we have a meeting minutes, sales meeting. You have the date, you have the host, attendees, time, topic, and presenter. As we can see, the sections are divided according to time. Okay. This is another form of meeting minutes. You also write who's absent, who's present. Okay. Approval of agenda, approval of meetings, business from the previous meeting, new business, additions to the agenda, adjournments, if the meeting was stopped in the middle. So you write what time the meeting was adjourned and by whom, as well as where the next meeting will be held and when. Okay, you write who the minutes were submitted by and approved by who. Okay, so here we have some tips to improve whenever we are writing. Number one, think clearly and plan carefully. This is very important. As Lincoln, as Lincoln says, whoever not plan plans for failure. So even whenever you want to do anything, whenever you want to pursue any type of task, you always plan for it. This will increase your probability of performing it successfully. Number two, organize your ideas. Okay. Number three, use clear headers for the sections. Help your reader navigate the text, as we said earlier, through the organization. It should be clearly seen by the reader what the text is about, what important parts is included in the text. Okay. Less is more. Conciseness is very important. Here we arrive at the summary. So at this session, we first looked at what is meant by professional writing and what are the types of professional writing depending on the purposes, the 4 purposes we looked at. And at third, the 3 stages and the principles of professional writing you should consider whenever you are writing. a document, and at last, how to use linking structures and avoid mistakes. Of course, there are lots of details that should have been or might have been included in this session, but it just generally outlines the important parts that you can from here expand and know more about. I hope this session was beneficial for you, and I hope you can straightforward apply everything we have discussed here the next time you write in the workplace. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.